I stepped out of Stephanie's apartment, closing the door behind me. I had just ended things with her after 6 months of dating. My reason? I still loved my wife. My name is Jonas Albertson, but my friends call me John. I'm a 30-year-old financial broker living in New York City. My wife, Jennifer, is 29 and works as a tax attorney. We met at our respective jobs, as her firm handles tax matters for the financial services company I work for. It took us 6 months to become a couple, and another 18 before we tied the knot. Jennifer is a striking woman, standing 5 feet 7 inches with shoulder-length auburn hair and captivating blue eyes. She maintains her fitness diligently, much like when we first met. Despite our busy schedules, we make time to hit the gym daily. Jennifer has a fantastic sense of humor, playfully sarcastic yet loving and trusting. Like any couple, we have our faults. Jennifer dislikes losing arguments and can be stubborn, though I'm not without fault either. Communication can be strained when we clash, but we usually find a way to move past it. The first 3 years of our marriage were blissful. Despite our demanding careers, we made time for fun, whether it was nights out with friends or romantic getaways. But the last 2 years have been different. Work has become more demanding, leaving little time for leisure. Even our weekends have become routine, with only occasional outings. Our love life has suffered too, dwindling from daily intimacy to once or twice a week. It's not that we don't love each other anymore, rather, our careers have taken precedence, straining our relationship. Financially, we're comfortable, able to afford the occasional luxury. We invested in a 2-bedroom apartment near our workplaces, though it takes a sizable chunk of our income to cover the mortgage. As our relationship grew stale, neither of us wanted to admit there was a problem. Our determination to succeed in every aspect of our lives made it hard to acknowledge any issues. So, what steps did I take to mend my failing marriage? Well, I had a 6-month affair with Stephanie Jones, a financial consultant for one of my clients. It's baffling why Jennifer and I found it so hard to address our relationship issues. We always tried to project a happy facade, even though we were both quite stubborn. Don't misunderstand me, I still love Jennifer deeply and desperately want our marriage to thrive. It took me 6 months of seeing Stephanie to realize that. Ending the affair was my way of committing to making things work with Jen. It might seem hypocritical as I leave Stephanie's apartment, but life isn't always a fairy tale. Returning home at 8 p.m., I felt a renewed determination to make my marriage succeed. I've got some pasta ready. Do you want to shower first? Jennifer asked. Yeah, sure, I replied. I appreciate the weeks when Jennifer cooks. Besides being better at it than me, it's a relief to come home and not have to worry about dinner. After my shower, I slipped into comfortable clothes and joined Jennifer at the dining table. How was your day? Anything interesting? She inquired. Not really, just the usual, I responded, feeling guilty about my secret rendezvous with Stephanie. But I couldn't confess that to Jennifer. And yours? Anything out of the ordinary? I asked. Nothing major, except for one thing. But I'll talk to you about it later, Jennifer replied. Can I guess? I joked. No, let's discuss other matters first. Go ahead, I encouraged, taking a bite of pasta. Jennifer paused, contemplating something. Then, after a sip of wine, she spoke again. Our marriage isn't doing well, is it? What do you mean? I asked defensively, despite promising myself to address our issues. We hardly communicate, rarely have intimacy. We're only 30, but it feels like we're 60. It's not that bad, but yes, we need to work on it, I admitted. Do you still love me, John? Jennifer's question caught me off guard. I hope she didn't suspect anything about Stephanie. Of course I do. Why would you think otherwise? Just that it seems like there's nothing between us anymore. No spark, no romance, hardly any intimacy. Even our conversations revolve around mundane topics like how was your day? We don't really connect like we used to. What's happened to us? Jennifer's voice carried a hint of sadness. I don't know, Jen. We're both swamped with work. It feels like there's no time left for us, I replied. Jennifer sighed and glanced upwards before meeting my gaze again. Is our marriage worth salvaging, or have we reached the end of the road? It's our marriage, Jen, not just a relationship. And yes, it's worth fighting for. I can't believe you consider giving up on us, I protested. Me? John, let's not kid ourselves. You've been emotionally absent from this marriage for a while now. Don't put all the blame on me just because I'm finally voicing what we both know, Jennifer countered. I don't see it that way, and I'm not ready to throw in the towel just yet, I insisted. Jennifer shook her head and took another sip of wine. I felt a pang of anxiety, wondering if she was about to drop the bombshell about Stephanie. It sounded like she knew more than she was letting on. Where's all this coming from, Jen? I agree we need to make changes, but you're talking like it's already over, I said. That leads me to the other thing I wanted to discuss with you, Jennifer continued. Damn it, she knows. How on earth am I going to navigate this? What can I say that won't lead to me packing my bags? Last week, a client I work with asked me out on a date. He's a decent guy, but I told him I'm married, Jennifer explained. Wait, what? I was caught off guard. You don't think I'm attractive enough to get asked out? Jennifer countered. No, that's not what I meant. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Today, he asked me again. And this time, I said yes. Jennifer dropped the bombshell. What the hell? Are you seriously telling me you've agreed to go on a date with a guy from work? I was incredulous. I know this is hard to hear, but I think we need some time apart. I need to figure out if I still want to be in this marriage. I need to know if I truly love you, not just saying the words, Jennifer explained. And you think you'll figure that out by going on a date? I couldn't hide my frustration. No, don't be crude. I'm not planning on sleeping with anyone. It's just a dinner date, Jennifer clarified. And if the date goes well, then what? I pressed. I don't know, Jennifer admitted. You haven't thought this through, have you? I pointed out. That's exactly how it had started with Stephanie, just a harmless dinner that led to more. I just need to know if I still love you, okay? If I spend the whole time thinking about you, then I'll know we're worth fighting for, Jennifer reasoned. And if you don't? If you're too distracted by some smooth-talking guy who knows how to charm married women? He's not like that. He's recently divorced and understands what I'm going through, Jennifer defended. You're not going through a divorce like him, not yet. I bet he thought he could take advantage of the situation and mess up our marriage too, I retorted. No, he's just trying to support me, Jennifer insisted. Come on, now who's being naive? He wants to be with you, like most men do. You probably let it slip that our marriage wasn't going well, and he's trying to capitalize on it, I argued. Well, so what if he is? At least he's showing an interest in me. That's more than I can say for you lately, Jennifer shot back. I stood up from the table, feeling a surge of anger and confusion. I grabbed my keys, phone, and wallet. John, where are you going? Jennifer called after me. For a walk. I need some fresh air before I say something I'll regret, I replied tersely. So, once again you're avoiding dealing with this? Jennifer's voice trailed after me. I shot her an angry glance before storming out of the door. Walking down the block, my mind was swirling with emotions and questions. I noticed a small bar at the end of the street, a place I had never visited before. Normally, I preferred to head straight home after work, but tonight I needed a distraction. I entered the bar, ordered a beer, and took a seat. The waitress brought my drink over and observed me with a knowing look. Relationship problems, she guessed. I chuckled bitterly. Is it that obvious? When you've been in this business as long as I have, you learn to read people's faces. Yours looks sad or angry. Maybe a bit of both, she remarked. As I sat there nursing my beer, I couldn't help but reflect on how my evening had taken such a sudden turn. Breaking up with Stephanie, only to be confronted by Jennifer's desire to go on a date with someone else. It felt like a whirlwind of emotions. I couldn't ignore the irony of the situation. Jennifer wanted to go on a date to figure out her feelings, just as I had with Stephanie. It seemed like she knew exactly what had happened and was now turning the tables on me. But at least she had shown me the respect of being honest about her intentions. I couldn't say the same for myself, keeping my affair with Stephanie a secret. As I mulled over my options, one thing became clear: I couldn't go back home and pretend everything was fine. Confronting Jennifer in a fit of jealousy would only make me a hypocrite. Jen's suggestion of taking a break from our marriage raised a flurry of questions in my mind. Did she mean she wants to separate so she can pursue this guy? Would one of us have to move out, or do we continue living together? Should I make it clear that if she goes on that date, I'm walking out the door? But realistically, I couldn't afford another apartment in NYC, even if I found one, and I still need to contribute to the mortgage. Damn. Should I go home and try to convince her not to go on the date? But what if I can't change her mind? Do I just stay there and pretend everything's fine, even as she prepares for her date? Or perhaps I should retreat to the spare bedroom and ignore her? But then she might interpret that as me accepting her decision to date someone else. No way I'm letting that happen. Is there any scenario where I can maintain my dignity, avoid looking like the bad guy, and persuade Jen not to go ahead with her dating plan? It's a puzzle. I wish my sister, Molly, were here. She always knows what to do in tough situations. I dialed her number, hearing it ring. Hey John, why the late call? It's after 9 p.m. on a weekday, Molly answered. Sorry, sis. You haven't called in weeks, but you popped into my mind today. Really? What made you think of me? Oh, just something little Tommy did. He's so much like you sometimes. You do realize we're not actually related, right? Molly laughed along with me. Molly is my stepsister, 6 months older than me. Our bond goes way back to when our parents got married. She's been more than a sister. She's been my confidant and my guide through life. We went to the same schools, shared friends, and secrets. Molly's always had this knack for understanding people, which made her invaluable in my teenage years. She even helped me navigate relationships, often doing the heavy lifting for me. She's married now, with 3 energetic boys, and living in D.C. I've missed her wisdom and companionship over the last 7 years. So, what's going on, John? This isn't just a casual call at this hour, is it? Yeah, sorry for the late call, but do you have a moment to talk? Sure, give me a second. I could hear Molly speaking to Rob briefly before returning to the line. Okay, what's on your mind? Well, it's about me and Jen. We're hitting some rough patches. I'm sorry to hear that, John. Do you think you two can work through it? I'm not sure, that's why I called. I need another perspective. Well, I've been giving you dating advice since 6th grade, so lay it on me. Damn, you even remember Macy Thomas, my first kiss. Who do you think orchestrated that? Macy wouldn't have kissed you on her own, you were clueless. Yeah, no argument there. About Jen and me, you know how busy we've been with work since we got married, especially lately. We've drifted apart, barely talk, hardly go out, and our sex life has taken a nosedive. It's not one person's fault, we both let it happen. And have you talked to her about this? Not really. Tonight was the first time we really faced it. Wait, it's been going downhill for 2 years, and you're just talking now? What were you thinking, John? I know, we're both stubborn. Neither of us wanted to admit something was wrong. I remember when I first spent Christmas with you too. I told you then you were too similar. Yeah, we were fine when we had time together, but work changed that. So, what triggered this tonight? Jen said we needed to talk, asked if I still loved her, if our marriage was worth saving. That's serious. Jen wouldn't ask that if things weren't bad. That's not all. She mentioned wanting a break from our marriage, and that a guy from work asked her out, and she said yes. Oh, no. I'm sorry, John. Why didn't you two talk before it got to this? I'm starting to wonder the same. And what did you say or do? I told her the guy just wanted to get lucky, couldn't believe she was considering going out with him, then I left for this bar. Then I called you. Wait, Jen tells you she wants to date other people, and your response is to talk about the guy's intentions? You need to fight for your marriage, John. But I don't want a divorce. John, she's practically telling you it's over unless you fight for it. You can't just let her go out on dates with other people. It shows you don't care enough to save your marriage. I hesitated for a moment. Molly was unaware of Stephanie, and I debated whether to disclose it, fearing her judgment. What's on your mind, John? You're holding something back, aren't you? This is difficult, but you're right. I didn't react as strongly to Jen's news because, well, I assumed she already knew about my affair. What in the world, John? Maybe you should have mentioned that right away when discussing your problems. Yeah, I realize that now. I just feel embarrassed admitting it to you. Don't feel embarrassed with me. I'm not the one you betrayed. Has Jennifer found out yet? No, I don't think so. When she mentioned our issues and questioned if I still loved her, I assumed she knew. But now I doubt it. She would have brought it up. You need to come clean with her, John. If you want to salvage your marriage, honesty is crucial. Molly, she might divorce me if she finds out. Are you still involved with this other woman? No, her name is Stephanie. Surprisingly, I ended things with her right before heading home to face Jen. Molly burst into laughter. I'm sorry, John, but that's hilariously ironic. Yeah, I see the irony. I was bracing myself for Jen to confront me about Stephanie, but instead, I got hit with the I want to date others bombshell. I didn't know how to react, so I left. How long were you with Stephanie? 6 months. John, really? And you didn't think all that time about discussing your marriage with Jen? I knew I should, I just didn't. I can't explain why. Seeing Stephanie seemed like an easier escape. Or avoidance. You really are lost without my guidance. So, what should I do? Damn it, John. You let this spiral out of control. That's not helping. I know, sorry. First, ask Jen if she still loves you and wants to save your marriage. If she does, suggest taking some time apart to work on it together. Be clear that she can't date someone else if you're trying to fix things. She already said she's unsure if she loves me. What if she doesn't want to work on it and still wants to date this guy? Then your marriage might be over, John. Both of you need to be committed to fixing it. But I spent 6 months with Stephanie only to realize I still love Jen and want our marriage to work. Are you willing to let Jen date this guy for 6 months to decide if she still loves you and wants to be married? No, absolutely not. But what about my affair? You said I have to confess. Yes, but there's no point if Jen isn't willing to work on your marriage first. If she loves you and agrees to work on it together, then you need to come clean. She'll despise me, I know it. Probably. But if you want this to work, you owe her that much. You both need to communicate openly about everything. And prioritize your relationship over your careers, dummy. Spend less time at work and more time together. It's not that complicated. Okay, thanks, sis. I really appreciate it. Good luck, John. I mean it. I hope it's not too late already. Finishing my beer, I headed home. It was time for another conversation. Entering our apartment, I found Jen sitting on the couch, looking up as I approached and sat beside her. Listen, John, I'm sorry for what I said before you left. I was just frustrated. Yeah, I understand. But we really need to talk and come to some agreements, Jen. Like what? Well, first, I need to know if you still want to try saving our marriage. If you still love me enough to give it a shot before we call it quits. I do love you, John. It's just been so hard, and you've been distant. Why didn't you bring it up, Jen? Why didn't you? You must have known things weren't right. We need to communicate better. That would have helped. We can turn this around. Second, I want us to go away for a week right now. I'll book a resort nearby, and we'll spend the time sorting through this mess and reconnecting. I can't just leave work. I have responsibilities. That's been part of our problem. Work always comes first. Just this once, we need to prioritize us. I don't know, John. It's a lot to ask. Well, it depends on whether you think our marriage is worth it. That's not fair. You can't just drop this on me and blame me if I don't agree. It's not about blame, Jen. I can't fix this alone. I need you to want to fix it too, and if we don't do it now, it might be too late. Fine, I'll see what I can do. Thanks. Lastly, we can't see other people while we work on this. No dates, not even dinner. Jennifer pondered for a moment before nodding in agreement. Agreed. But this only applies to me, right? You didn't have any dates lined up. If she knew about Stephanie, she wouldn't have said that. Maybe not, but we can't focus on our marriage if we're thinking about others. Okay. Do you have any other conditions? Come on, Jen, let's stay positive about this. Hopefully, by this time next week, we'll be as happy and in love as we were when we got married. Let's hope so. Okay, John, I'm on board. Where are we going? I'll check shortly. Somewhere quiet where we can unwind. I leaned in for a soft kiss, and Jen responded eagerly, pulling me closer. Our passion reignited, and we quickly made our way to the bedroom. Our lips were locked together as we hurriedly shed our clothes. In the heat of the moment, I pushed myself inside her, eliciting a deep moan from Jen as she wrapped her arms around me, our mouths still fused in a passionate kiss. Breaking the kiss, she gazed into my eyes. John, fuck me. I need this so much. I need you so much. I'll never stop wanting you, Jen. I promise. We made love passionately, reveling in the spontaneity of the moment. It was what we had both been missing, the spark, the intensity. Within moments, I felt myself reaching the edge, unable to hold back any longer. Fortunately, Jen had just reached her peak as I released inside her. We collapsed onto the bed, breathing heavily, smiles lighting up our faces. I chuckled. Damn, I missed that. Yeah, that was amazing. But I want more soon, Jen replied. Oh, really? I'll see what I can do. Turning towards Jen, I kissed her slowly, savoring the moment. I felt hopeful that we could rediscover what we'd lost. Then, I hopped out of bed and slipped on my boxers. I'll be back in a few minutes for round 2. Don't go anywhere. Heading to the living room, I powered up my laptop. After browsing, I settled on Lake Placid, booking a room for a week starting the day after tomorrow. I grabbed a glass of water before returning to the bedroom. What do you think of Lake Placid? It sounds perfect. When do we leave? Saturday morning. We can ask for the week off tomorrow at work. It'll be just us, every day. Jen beamed, her happiness infectious. Ready for round 2, she teased. I responded by slipping off my boxers and joining her back on the bed, eager for another passionate encounter. The next day, after sorting things out with my boss, I gave Molly the quick call. Hey, sis. Hey, John. Did you talk to Jen last night? Yeah, she agreed to go away for the week. We're leaving tomorrow. That's fantastic. How did she take it? Did she agree not to see anyone else? Yeah, she's on board. And she took it all in stride. We ended up reconnecting a couple of times in the bedroom. Wow, John. Looks like you two might have a shot. We'll see. She still doesn't know about my affair. I'm not sure if I should tell her. It's your call, John. But it'll be hard to build a future on a lie. Anyway, do what you think is best. Thanks, Molly. I gotta go. Lots to do before next week. Take care, John. Arriving at Lake Placid, we checked into our room with a breathtaking view of the lake, shimmering in the spring sunlight. After a shower together, we headed to the restaurant for lunch. I'm so grateful we decided to do this, John. It almost feels like a second honeymoon, Jen remarked with a smile. Her words struck a chord with me. This trip did feel like a fresh start for us. You're right, it does feel like a second honeymoon. This time, we'll do our happily ever after much better than before, I replied, feeling optimistic about our future. As we perused the menu, I couldn't shake the feeling that this week was going to be special. In the afternoon, we strolled along the lakeside path and explored the shops in town. After a delightful dinner at a local restaurant, we returned to our suite for the night. Our lovemaking this time was slow and tender. I found myself kissing Jen more passionately and in more places than ever before. It was as if we were rediscovering each other, deepening our connection with every touch. I'd never felt so close to Jen, so utterly in love. I could sense that Jen was experiencing the same intensity of emotions. Her gaze, her touch, they all conveyed the depth of her feelings. Taking Molly's advice to heart and getting away seemed to be working wonders for us. Over the next few days, we spent most of our time in our suite, indulging in passionate encounters in various locations, our bed, the shower, even the balcony. Despite briefly considering confessing my affair to Jen to truly start afresh, I couldn't bring myself to do it. I was too caught up in the joy of being with her again. I resolved to tell her on our last night, if I could muster the courage. As Friday dawned, I woke up to the sight of Jen sleeping peacefully beside me. She looked radiant, serene. But beneath the surface, I knew there was a conversation I'd been avoiding, being honest with her about my infidelity. I debated whether to text Molly for advice. Hey Molly, are you there? Yep. Question, I've been putting off telling Jen about the affair. You need to tell her. This week has been incredible, I don't want to ruin it. Okay, but when? I don't know. You have to do it. The sooner you do, the sooner you can move past it. Or face divorce. That's a risk you have to take. I know, thanks. Bye. Molly's response offered no easy way out. I wrestled with the decision. Did I really want to risk losing Jen by confessing? Or could I live with the guilt of keeping it secret? Placing my phone down, I headed to the bathroom. As I returned to the bedroom, I noticed Jen's shocked expression as she stared at my phone screen. Who is Stephanie, and why does she miss your cock after 1 week? She demanded, her voice filled with anger. Caught off guard, I stood frozen for a moment. Then, Jen hurled my phone at me and began dressing hurriedly. I can't believe you brought me here to save our marriage while you were sleeping with someone else, she exclaimed. No, Jen, wait. I ended things with her before we came here. I was going to tell you and explain everything, I pleaded, hoping she would understand. Really? Why should I believe anything you say? You're a lying, cheating piece of shit. Jen's voice was filled with anger and hurt. Jen, please, just hear me out. I was planning to tell you. Coming here was about being honest so we could start fresh, I pleaded, desperate for her to understand. The week is almost over, and you hadn't told me yet. I had to find out from a text on your damn phone. I can't believe you did this, she retorted, her voice trembling with emotion. Here, Jen, look at my phone. See the texts I sent Molly about telling you. Look at when I last contacted Stephanie. I swear, I was going to tell you, and I've ended things with her. I want you in our marriage, Jen, I insisted, hoping she would believe me. I can't listen to you right now. I need some space. Don't follow me, Jen declared before storming out of the suite. I watched her walk along the lakefront path, her movements slow and tense. Sitting on the balcony, I felt a wave of uncertainty wash over me. What should I do now? I knew I had to be completely honest with Jen, but would she even listen? I called Molly, seeking reassurance in the midst of chaos. Hey, Molly. Hi, John. If I'm going to be your personal therapist, I want payment, Molly teased lightly. Jen knows, I admitted, feeling defeated. You finally told her? How did she take it? I didn't tell her. Stephanie texted me, and Jen read it, I confessed, frustration evident in my voice. John, you should have listened to me, Molly chided gently. I know. Can you skip the I told you so part and tell me what to do now? I pleaded. All right, but you know you're a fool, right? Molly quipped. Yes, I know, I sighed. What have you already told her? I explained that I ended things with Stephanie before our trip, that I want to be with Jen, and that I intended to tell her. I even offered to show her our texts, I explained. Where's Jen now? Molly inquired. She went for a walk along the lakefront. I'm not sure what she'll decide, I replied. If you want, I can call her. She might need someone to talk to and vent her anger, Molly offered. Thanks, Molly. Let me know how it goes. I owe you one, I expressed my gratitude. That's what big sisters are for, Molly replied warmly before ending the call. I watched as Jen answered her phone and began talking to Molly. At least she picked up. I hoped Molly's call would help Jen process everything. After a while, I saw Jen put her phone away and start walking back towards the resort. Then my phone rang, it was Molly. Hey, Molly. So, you're really in a mess. Is it that bad? Well, she seems to believe that you intended to tell her about your affair and that you ended it. She also acknowledges that you genuinely want to work on your marriage. Doesn't sound too terrible, then, right? But she's still furious with you, John. Wanting to repair your marriage doesn't erase the fact that you cheated on her. Right now, that's what she's grappling with. But she was considering going out with that guy from work. John, she wanted to discuss separation before that. She wasn't planning to cheat behind your back. And that makes it okay? If you two were already on the brink of separation, then yes. Okay. Was that all you talked about? You were on the phone for quite a while. Some of it was Jen venting her anger, but we also discussed a few things. Like? We talked about how your marriage deteriorated, how communication broke down, and how she started losing hope. Also, about being asked out and feeling desired again. I always found her attractive. But you stopped expressing it, John. You stopped pursuing her. Now she's questioning if it's because you found someone else more appealing. That's not true. I think Jen is more attractive than Stephanie. But I understand how she could feel that way, especially considering our recent lack of intimacy. John, I asked her if she enjoyed this week. She said it was the best until this morning. I also asked if she still loves you, and she said yes. But her anger toward you is equally strong right now. She's on her way back. Do you think she'll give me another chance? It's hard to say. I don't think she's made up her mind yet. Just be thoughtful about what you say to her when she returns. Any advice? It's your marriage, John. If you're at a loss for words or actions. Got it. Anything else? Just that you're a fool. Yeah, I know. Thanks, sis. Good luck, John. You'll need it. Bye. As I saw Jen approaching the resort entrance, I retreated from the balcony and returned to the bedroom, perching on the edge of the bed. What could I say to ease her anger or salvage our marriage? I buried my face in my hands, realizing the gravity of my mistakes. The door creaked open, and I glanced up to see Jen, her eyes still glossy from tears. She approached the bed and sat down beside me. We sat in silence for what felt like an eternity before Jen finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. Do you have any idea how much you've hurt me, John, especially after the week we've had? Yeah, I can only imagine the pain I'd feel if our situations were reversed. All I can say is that I love you more than ever, Jen, especially after everything we've been through this week. Love isn't enough right now. Right now, all I feel is anger. I imagine all sorts of terrible things I could do to you, and I can't shake that feeling. I probably deserve whatever you're thinking. I was a hypocrite, hiding my own infidelity while judging you for accepting a dinner date. And to think I was feeling guilty about the dinner date while you were already involved with someone else. I know, I kept it from you because I was afraid of losing you. That's also why I don't want you going on any dates. I've seen where it leads. It's how Stephanie and I started. I convinced myself it was just dinner. I don't want to hear her name ever again. I want to go home, John. Now, can we talk about this first, Jen? That's partly why we're here, to resolve things before we go back. What's there to talk about, John? How many times you slept with her? How many times you lied to me and snuck around behind my back to be with her? How many times you came home to me right after being with her? Is that what you want to discuss? I met Jen's gaze, seeing both tears and anger in her eyes. All you want is for me to forgive you and forget what happened so you can live with yourself. But I'm not ready for that yet. I just want to go home. I nodded, understanding that Jen needed time. We packed our things and left the resort. The drive home was silent, and I decided not to push the issue. Jen seemed distant, answering my attempts at conversation with short, terse replies. It was clear she wasn't ready to talk yet. Monday morning arrived, and we slipped back into our usual work routine. It felt like a welcome distraction from the turmoil with Jen and me. I hoped it would also help her move past my affair if she wasn't dwelling on it all day. The only worry nagging at me was the possibility of bumping into Stephanie at work or Jen encountering the guy who had asked her out. Our fragile marriage didn't need any additional stress. Fortunately, I managed to avoid Stephanie's clients, and I politely declined her requests to meet up. The week dragged on until Friday evening, when I received a text from Jen as I was leaving work. She mentioned she'd be home later than usual after having drinks with Lucy from work. It wasn't entirely out of character for Jen, but a small voice in my head wondered if there was more to it. Jen arrived home a few hours later, appearing sober. She changed and joined me in the living room. "How was your night, Jen?" "It was fine." "Where did you end up going?" Jen glanced at me, seemingly surprised by the interrogation. "Does it matter? You've never grilled me about drinks with friends before." "I was just curious." "I hope you had a good time." Jen nodded and turned her attention to the TV. Her silence hinted at something unspoken. The weekend passed much like the last one, with minimal communication between us. We slept in the same bed, but any physical intimacy was absent. I respected Jen's boundaries and waited for her to initiate contact. The following Wednesday, Jen texted me about having dinner with a client, so I'd need to fend for myself. My mind immediately raced with suspicions. Was this another rendezvous with the guy from work? I asked where she was dining, but her response was vague. I ate leftovers at home, my mind consumed with thoughts of where Jen could be and who she might be with. I knew I should trust her, but my imagination ran wild with worst-case scenarios. Jen returned home late, heading straight to the bedroom before emerging 30 minutes later to join me in the living room. This time, I decided to wait for her to share on her own terms. We sat in silence, watching Netflix together. Here's where our stubbornness clashes once more. I won't ask, and she won't tell. After about 30 minutes of silence, Jen got up and retreated to the bedroom without a word, closing the door behind her. I simmered quietly with frustration, convinced something was amiss. I lingered in the lounge for another half hour, reluctant to face her in bed. Eventually, I joined her, finding Jen already asleep. Come Friday, another text from Jen at lunch informed me of her plans for post-work drinks, with a note not to wait up. I was seething. What did she mean by "don't wait up"? In all our time together, she'd never gone out without me and said that. Was she meeting him and expecting to spend the night? I vowed not to sit idly by while Jen potentially spent the night with someone else. I refused to lie in bed while she returned from her date to sleep beside me, even though I'd essentially done the same to her with Stephanie for the past 6 months, albeit without her knowledge. But I couldn't bear it happening to me. This time, I dialed her number. "Hi, John." "Hey, Jen. Just wanted to clarify, what did you mean by "don't wait up"? Are you staying out all night or crashing at a friend's?" "No, I'll be home, just later than usual." Later than usual? You hardly ever go out for drinks with colleagues, now twice in a row, planning to stay out late. What's happening, Jen? Nothing, just hanging out with friends. Maybe a club. So, I'll be home a bit later, that's all. I'm glad she couldn't see the rage on my face. I was fuming. Okay, then I won't wait up. I snapped and hung up abruptly, a first with Jennifer. This time, I resolved not to wait at home while Jen gallivanted off. For a moment, I even considered calling Stephanie to rescind my change of heart. But I opted for common sense, rallying a few guys from the office for drinks instead. It felt good to unwind with the guys, the conversation flowing as freely as the beer, diverting my mind from Jennifer and her activities. As the night wore on, our numbers dwindled until only Gary and I remained, well past midnight. Gary was probably the closest thing I had to a best friend, a rarity in a life consumed by work. We'd both joined the firm around the same time, fresh out of college. We used to hit the town together before Jennifer, but those outings had become increasingly rare as our careers and responsibilities grew. It's been ages since we had a proper night out, John. Thanks for getting everyone together. My pleasure. We were well on our way to being unable to walk. You've been looking miserable around the office lately. What's up with you? Nothing, I'm fine, Gary. Just fine. Bullshit. I recognize wife problems when I see them. You're wearing the same face I did last year after I split with Mary. You broke up with Mary? I had no idea, I said, surprised. Yeah, but we're back together now. It was rough for a bit though, Gary replied. What happened, if you don't mind me asking? Hell no, we're buddies. Long story short, I got caught cheating. Mary almost left me. You were cheating, and she found out? Exactly. But the catch is, she found out, and I didn't know she knew. What? Yeah, she kept it to herself, but our relationship went downhill fast. I moved out, thinking it was over. Ended things with Stacy, the other girl. Then I realized I wanted Mary back. But you had no clue Mary knew about Stacy? Not until I tried to fix things with her. She told me off, said she knew all about Stacy. I was as miserable as you've been. So, how did you patch things up? Mary's got a heart of gold. Gave me another shot, and I've been making it up to her since. You've got a good one there. Ain't that the truth? What's been going on with you and Jennifer? Pretty much the same as your situation. You've been cheating on Jennifer? Damn, whoever she is, she must be something. Your wife's a catch. Nah, no one compared to Jen. I messed up, and now things are icy at home. You gotta fix it, John. Fight for her, like I did with Mary. Hope she forgives you. It's complicated. I think Jen might be seeing someone now. Damn, okay. Put aside your pride and go after her if you want her back. But what if she's cheating right now? Do you still want her? Of course, but if she's cheating, then... You cheated first. You expect forgiveness but can't give it? I don't know, man. Want another beer? Nah, I'm good. Time to head home. Maybe you should too. We stumbled out of the bar and caught cabs home. Waking up with a pounding headache, I realized Jen wasn't beside me. It was 9 a.m., later than usual. After a shower to ease the hangover, I braced myself for the day. As I stood under the shower, Gary's words from last night echoed in my mind. He was right. I wanted Jen's forgiveness but wasn't ready to give it myself. If I still wanted our marriage to work, I needed to fight for it. I recalled stumbling in last night, finding Jen already asleep in bed. It was a relief to remember that at least. Maybe forgiving Jen for whatever happened with the guy from work was the only way forward. But how do I even broach the subject? My head throbbed with the effort of thinking. After dressing up and heading to the kitchen, I noticed Jen was nowhere in sight. I decided to text her. Hey Jen. Finally awake? Yeah. Head's pounding though. Take some pills and drink lots of water. Already on it. Where are you? Out with friends. Back home later. Okay. Bye. Bye. Which friends? On a Saturday morning after being out all Friday night? Forgiving her in theory seemed far easier than in practice. I flopped onto the couch with a bottle of water, intending to rest for a bit. Hey John, wake up. I slowly opened my eyes to see Jen standing over me. Hey, you're back. Good morning. Well, it's past 3 in the afternoon, so good afternoon. Oh, damn. I wasted the whole day. I got up, the headache subsiding a bit. John, you didn't tell me you were going out drinking last night, and so late. I got home and didn't know where you were. What's it matter to you? What do you mean? You know exactly what I mean, Jen. No, I don't. Yesterday, you yelled at me on the phone and then got so drunk you barely made it into bed. And now you're upset with me? Maybe I should be the one asking you what's going on. As if you're innocent in all this. What are you talking about, John? It doesn't matter. I forgive you anyway. I want us to work. I'm not giving up that easily. Jen's expression turned from confusion to anger as she walked away. Well, that didn't go as planned. If I can convince her I forgive her, maybe she'll forgive me too. I gulped down some more water, trying to gather my thoughts. Coffee. I need coffee. After brewing a cup, I sat at the kitchen table, contemplating what to say to Jen. Gary's words echoed in my mind, urging me to be the bigger person and extend forgiveness to Jen, regardless of what she might have done with the other guy. I wasn't going to let stubbornness ruin our chance at reconciliation. Even though the thought of Jen being with someone else made my blood boil, I knew I had to let go of my anger if I wanted her to forgive me for my own betrayal with Stephanie. Summoning courage, I walked down the hallway to the closed bedroom door and gently knocked. Jen's response was guarded. Jen, can we talk, please? That depends. On what? Are you going to speak plainly? What? Of course. Fine then. I entered the room and sat beside Jen on the bed. Jen, can we discuss this? I miss you, and this whole situation of living together but feeling distant is tearing me apart. I told you I need time. Do you think I'm being unreasonable after everything? That's not what I meant. I want us to communicate like we did at the resort. I want to feel close to you again. I've been trying my best, John. This isn't easy for me either. But do you need time to find intimacy elsewhere? What are you implying? Let's not beat around the bush. I know about your nights out and dinners with clients. Did you go on that date with the guy from work to get back at me? Jen's reaction was a mix of shock and disbelief. Does that even matter, John? I'm saying I'm willing to forgive you and move forward. So, let me get this straight. You think I cheated on you with Kevin, and yet you're ready to forgive me because you still love me? Yeah, pretty much. You're clueless. Jen then embraced me, the first sign of affection since she learned about my affair. She looked into my eyes and kissed me on the lips, not a fleeting peck, but not a heated embrace either. So, are you going to confront Kevin now? She asked. I ended things with him weeks ago, I replied, feeling puzzled. You really are clueless, Jen said, her expression softening. I furrowed my brows in confusion. I've been confiding in Lucy about everything. She's been trying to cheer me up, so we went out for drinks last Friday and again last night. And my dinner date? That was with a business client. I haven't spoken to Kevin since before we went to Lake Placid. You must be feeling pretty guilty to come up with all this, Jen explained. I have been, I admitted, feeling a mix of relief and embarrassment. Are you telling me the truth? Jen nodded, a smile spreading across her face. Yes, it's the truth. But I appreciate you forgiving me for something that never happened. Although, did you imagine Kevin screwing me hard? No, I couldn't bear to think about that, I confessed. Then how about my not-so-imaginary husband does the honors? Jen teased, her smile growing. John will do just fine, thanks. But I thought you needed more time. I asked, surprised. Not anymore. This time, Jen kissed me passionately. Somehow, despite my foolish assumptions, everything worked out in the end. The end. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel not to miss new videos.